Hey everyone, and welcome back to the From Brokenness to Fullness podcast. I am Jeanith Padilla, and today we are continuing our Made New series with a conversation that I believe many people desperately need, but often avoid. Today's episode is called Healing What You Hide. And honestly, I think some people are not tired because they are busy. They are tired because they've been carrying pain for too long. Pain they never processed, pain they buried, and pain they learned to hide. And eventually, what we refuse to heal quietly shapes the way we think, love, trust, respond, and live. I think many of us have become experts at functioning while silently hurting internally, especially strong people, especially mothers, caregivers, providers, leaders, high achievers. Sometimes life teaches us to survive, but never teaches us how to heal. And maybe that's why some people can smile publicly while struggling privately. Maybe that's why some people stay constantly busy because silence forces them to face what still hurts. And honestly, I truly understand that more than people realize. I do. I really do. I can totally relate. For the longest time, I had been acting like a strong woman. Yeah, I was good at it. I was good at faking it. My life was so fast paced that I never really gave myself time to process my pain, frustrations, trauma, disappointments, and everything I had buried deep inside for the longest time. I just kept moving, working, taking care of people, showing up, achieving, functioning. And from the outside, I looked strong. But deep inside, I felt heavy. And for a long time, I couldn't fully understand why certain emotions kept coming back every time there were triggers. Why certain situations affected me more than they should. Why I felt emotionally exhausted even when life looked fine. And why I kept revisiting the same emotional cycles over and over again. There were seasons in my life when I thought being strong meant carrying everything silently. You just kept, or you just keep moving forward, keep functioning, keep taking care of responsibilities, and keep showing up for everyone else. But deep inside, you are exhausted. And eventually, I realized unhealed pain doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It usually shows up somewhere else. Sometimes as anger, sometimes as anxiety, sometimes as emotional dis- distance, sometimes as people pleasing, sometimes as exhaustion. My friend, what you bury internally or emotionally still affects you spiritually. And one day, after attending a seminar about healing and breakthroughs, I made a massive decision. So massive that I couldn't go back. It was now or never. It was to do it or not to do it at all forever. I was finally going to face my shadows one by one. To be honest, it was not easy. Healing forced me to slow down, to be honest, to grieve, to surrender, to confront parts of myself I had ignored for years. But by the grace of God, little by little, I was healed and made new. And I think that's why this conversation is so personal to me. Because I know what it feels like to carry hidden pain while trying to appear strong and happy. But I also know the freedom that comes when you finally allow God into those hidden places. Of course, it's not hidden for Him because He knows everything about us. But what I mean is, those memories that we try to bury and thought it's going to heal itself and it's just going to go and disappear. But it won't. And yeah, if healing was possible for me, I truly believe it's possible for you too. But you have to be willing to participate. Healing is not pretending. Healing is not avoiding. Healing is not burying things deeper. Healing requires surrender, honesty, participation, cooperation, giving your all. Even it means your resources, your time, your money, and all that stuff. And allowing God to walk with you through the process. And I promise you, God can restore what pain tried to destroy. Psalm 147:3 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And I love that verse because it reminds us that God is not intimidated by brokenness. Yeah, we may avoid brokenness. We may avoid or may judge brokenness or may hide brokenness because it means being vulnerable. But Jesus moves toward it. And honestly, I think one of the hardest things for many Christians is admitting, I am hurting. Because we think faith means pretending everything is okay. But healing begins when honesty begins. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. And I think many of us carry wounds from rejection, disappointment, betrayal, abandonment, shame, harsh words, childhood experiences, broken relationships, failure, unmet expectations. And over time, those wounds begin shaping how we see ourselves, how we trust others, and even how we relate to God. Some people became emotionally guarded because they were hurt deeply. Some became perfectionists because they tied their worth to performance. Some became people pleasers because they feared rejection. Some became emotionally distant because vulnerability once felt unsafe. Some are buried in debts, trying to prove their worth through what they wear, what they drive, where they live. And the truth is, hidden pain often creates hidden bondage. Not because God wants us trapped, but because wounds left untreated eventually affect every area of our lives. Matthew 11:28 says, Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Notice Jesus did not say, Come to me once you fix yourself. No, he invites weary people, burdened people, broken people. And honestly, one of the biggest parts of healing is surrendering the version of yourself that keeps pretending you're okay. Because healing requires vulnerability. Healing requires honesty. Healing requires allowing God into the places you've kept hidden for years. And I think forgiveness is part of healing too. Of course it is. Not because what happened was okay, not because the pain was small, but because bitterness quietly poisons the person carrying it. A few years ago, I realized forgiveness was something I needed to master if I truly wanted peace and joy in my life. And honestly, forgiveness brought freedom into my heart in ways I cannot fully explain. Because forgiveness doesn't always change the past, but it releases the future. And I know forgiveness is difficult, especially when the wound was deep. But healing cannot fully happen while resentment continues living in the heart. And maybe today, God is not asking you to pretend you're okay anymore. Maybe He's inviting you to finally bring your pain into His presence, not to shame you, not to condemn you, but to heal you. Because Jesus did not die only to save your soul someday. He also came to restore your heart today. And I think some people listening right now are emotionally exhausted, not because they are weak, but because they've been carrying wounds silently for too long. Some people, strong people, yeah, need healing too. And maybe this is a reminder today. You do not have to carry everything alone anymore. God sees the hidden pain, the hidden tears, the hidden disappointments, the hidden fears, the hidden exhaustion, and He cares about all of it. So today, I want to ask you honestly, what pain have you been hiding? What wound have you buried? What bitterness are you still carrying? What part of your story still needs healing? What are you pretending no longer affects you? Because freedom begins when honesty begins. And healing begins when we finally allow God into the places we've kept hidden. Yes, my friend, healing is possible for you. Freedom is within reach. Thank you so much for being here today. And if this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who may need this reminder too. Next episode, we are going to talk about identity and why your past does not define who God says you are. I love you guys. And remember, Jesus does not just improve lives, He makes people new.